No matter where the Seminoles end up, you'll be happy as long as it isn't here. We get it. So this isn't a video about that. Not quite, anyway. It's more about what Florida State has meant to the ACC over the last 30 years, what Clemson has meant over the last decade plus, and why it would be cool if the rest of the conference could just agree that these two schools have carried way too much of the weight for way too long. Many media and fans of other teams seem truly aghast that Florida State supporters might want something better, because, quite frankly, those other fans and media have never truly understood just how important Florida State has been to the conference and why the grass might seem greener somewhere else. Like, a little gratitude would be nice, especially when the facts are laid out like they're about to be in this video. Florida State is ranked number 8 in the AP preseason poll, which was released on Monday. That represents the 253rd week the Seminoles have been ranked in the top 10 since they officially started playing ACC football in the fall of 1992. Clemson is ranked number 9 in the AP poll. This represents the 136th week the Tigers have been in the top 10 in that same span. Now let's offer some perspective. Here are the rest of the week totals that ACC teams have been ranked in the top 10 since 1992. Keep in mind, these numbers only reflect after they join the conference. So here we go. Virginia Tech has been ranked in the top 10 31 times. Miami, 30. North Carolina, 26. Georgia Tech, 18. Louisville, 10. Virginia, 9. Boston College, 7. I see you, Matt Ryan. North Carolina State, 2. Wake Forest, 2. Duke, 0. Pitt, 0. Syracuse, 0. Notre Dame doesn't count. So let's really think about these numbers again. Like really look at them. Let them wash over you. Florida State has now been ranked in the top 10 for 253 weeks. The rest of the ACC combined, excluding Clemson, has been ranked a grand total of 135 times during that same span. If you add Clemson to the mix, these two programs, Florida State and Clemson, represent 74% of all top 10 rankings the conference has had over the last 31 years. But wait, it gets worse, or better, I guess, depending on your point of view. Florida State has been ranked in the top 5 176 times since 1992. Clemson has been ranked in the top 5 107 times. The rest of the conference combined, 36. And 10 of those were Virginia Tech back in 2005. So let's do the math real quick. Florida State and Clemson represent 88% of all top 5 rankings in the conference since 1992. Florida State by itself is responsible for 55% of all top 5 rankings in the ACC over the last 3 decades. And of course, Florida State has been ranked number 1 57 times since 1992. That represents 71% of all number 1 rankings in the ACC. And if you take away Clemson's 23 weeks, it represents all of them. Over the past 3 decades, no other program has been ranked number 1 in this conference besides these two powers. And only 4, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Louisville, and Miami, sadly, have been ranked in the top 5 at all. None could sustain that lofty success, of course. Virginia Tech had a good start to the 2010s and was the best program in the conference there for a few years, but the Hokies have since fallen back to the pre-Beamer team they used to be. Miami has done nothing in this conference. Louisville had Lamar Jackson, which was awesome to watch, and he brought the conference a Heisman. And North Carolina remains a sleeping giant, in quotes, that might just be in a forever coma. We've heard so much in recent weeks about Florida State's bluster and how the Seminoles should have been better from 2017 to 2021 if they won a better deal, and how they should beat Wake Forest every once in a while before whining about more money, and on and on and on. Meanwhile, look at those effing numbers, man. This conference would be completely and utterly irrelevant in the only sport that makes real money without Florida State and Clemson. And why in the world, now that the SEC and Big Ten are slated to distance themselves light years further from the ACC with their new TV contracts, would we expect any of these programs to start truly mattering now? They've had 30 years to prove they matter, 30 years to prove they care, to prove they can win at a high level or compete for a national title. And now they scoff that Florida State might want not to get left behind when the 2 super tankers of college football reach maximum capacity. Duke, North Carolina State, and Wake Forest have combined for 4 top 10 rankings total in the last 3 decades. Florida State, 253. Florida State and Clemson are ACC football. They're the only ones who have proven they can consistently matter at the national level. They're the only ones that people watch regularly. They're the only programs that have proven they can compete for and win championships. So it would be nice if instead of bitching and moaning about Florida State's bluster or making fun of the Seminoles for always losing to Wake, a little appreciation could be shown for what they did do for this conference. When college football started to really take off in popularity in the 1990s, Florida State was the best program in the country. When the TV revenues started to multiply exponentially and conferences started signing massive deals with ESPN and other networks, Florida State was a championship program that won 29 straight games and a national title. And then Clemson came along, took the baton, and became a top 2 program in the country for more than half a decade. It's astonishing how much these programs have accomplished and how little everyone else has. And yet, some folks still have the audacity to lampoon Florida State for recent struggles without realizing that the conference had been carried, and I do mean carried, by FSU and Clemson for 3 decades now. Go back and read those poll numbers again if you have to. Go listen to this again if you have to. Let it all wash over you. Because when you do, it hammers home a point I think we've all known for years. Without Florida State and Clemson, the ACC would be the Big East with better weather. Which, hey, at least then Miami might win a conference championship or two.